Are you a yeller? Do you
A
yell?
yeller?
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. Yeah. When I'm coaching my lifts and everything like that,
Yeah.
I definitely get loud. And track and field I've coached by myself for the last couple years. So I have 35 athletes all in the weight room at the same time. Music's cranked up. So yeah, we're getting after it. I'm having to.
So little mama drop it down to the floor. After one night, she gon' be begging for more. I bought like a big weight. I'm born out of beef state. Came from the jungle, now I behave. By that time, they let me out of cage.
What's going on, everyone, man? Welcome back to an episode of Dear Radio. It's your boy, Dear Siege, man, hosting this Dear Radio. Thanks for joining us for another story time segment. We'll be bringing in special guests each week for their story. Let me introduce our boys for us, man. I got my boy, Dear Michael, Dear LeBrankston, and Dear TKD2. How y'all doing today, fellas?
Doing good, man.
And we live.
Great. How's my parlay hit?
Yep, facts.
I'll be even better.
Yeah, Thursday night
I'll be even
football.
better.
Gotta hit.
Yep.
Like I said earlier, man, story time is a segment where the guests we bring in speak on their story. Today we got a special guest that goes by the name Strobis. Everybody shout out Strobis real quick for us.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Grateful to have you, man.
Former
thank you, guys.
graduate. Oh, sorry. Former graduate, Washington University. Washington State University. Sorry about that. He's a strength and conditioning coach at University of Kentucky. Coached the Olympic medalist. Specialized in social sports psychology and mental health. Please join me to welcome Steven Strobis.
How you doing, man?
Welcome, buddy. Welcome.
Hey guys. Yeah, Langston. I love the applause, buddy. Yeah.
How's it going today, Steven?
It's great, man. Kind of in the middle of moving because we'll get to it eventually, but I'm in the middle of accepting a new job, so moving across the country. But it's been busy, it's been good, and I'm excited to sit down with y'all.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, man. It's great to have you, man. Great to have you. Before we go into the story time, man, this word of the week is adaptability today, fellas. So everybody take a thinker on that and things of that nature. At the end of the show, we'll go over the word of the week. What it means to us. Strobis, you'll probably be the one to lead that on to start us off on that. So you'll probably get the first heads up on that. Dear Michael, go ahead and start us off, baby.
Yeah, man, like this you said, man, we're glad to have you. It's gonna be a good one. We heard a lot of great things about you, man. So it's gonna be a fun one for us. But yeah, man, let us know a little bit, obviously, about where you're from and your transition right now.
Yeah, so I grew up in Washington State. I was born out there, raised out there. I went to Washington State University for 2015 to 2019, and during that is when I kind of just kicked off my career. Came out to Lexington on a whim, just kind of on an internship. Honestly, when I booked the flight to Lexington is where I actually figured out where Lexington was, if I'm being honest. But took that opportunity, and it's just kind of blossomed while being here in terms of my career. And I met my wife here. We just got married this last summer. So yeah, things have just kind of blossomed over the last 6 or 7 years here.
I mean, that's amazing.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. That's big.
Big.
Thank you.
Man, I mean, that's pretty cool. I haven't personally been to Washington State. I should go though, 'cause I actually heard a lot of good things about it. But you started there, and you wanted to pursue a degree in education and social studies and government. Obviously did all that through the high school level. And what event or idea at Washington State gave you the inspiration or desire to pretty much switch over to career to strength and conditioning that landed you actually ultimately in Kentucky?
Yeah. So it was kind of a weird realization of what happened. And so I wanted to be a teacher just because I loved working in sports. I played sports all growing up, baseball, soccer, football. But as I was growing up was when, TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, concussions, all that started to kind of really develop in terms of sports. And I actually got deemed medically ineligible when I got to high school, which was awful. But
Yeah.
in that, I just started working out. I just got into lifting. If you know what Olympic weightlifting is, which is technical clean and jerk and the snatch that they do at the Olympics and at the world stage every year. I got really into that, and I was just like, you know what, I would love to coach. I would love to coach high school sports, the weight room, whatever. And so I was like, I'm going to be a teacher, and I'm just going to figure that out. And I loved social studies, history, government. And so I was just like, okay, that's my path. And I enrolled into Washington State University, and I'm there day one at orientation in the College of Education, which was both education, obviously, but then the KHP, kinesiology, that sort of department was in the College of Education as well. And I'm sitting there in orientation, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I look, it's like right, and it's like orientation session for education, left, sports science, kinesiology, and I obliviously just ended up in that room on the left. And that day I changed my major. And because I realized, I was like, you can do a career in strength. You can just be a coach, or you can be a professional trainer, or whatever it is. Like, I knew that you could do those things, but I didn't realize it was like, you do your degree, you study the science behind it, you get to go through that process. And so it was a no-brainer. Changed my major that day, dropped the whole teaching thing, which in the grand scheme of things, I'm thankful for, because now I just get to do the coaching piece. And yeah, so after that, I got the opportunity to volunteer as an intern in the Olympic sports weight room at Washington State. That was kind of like part of the curriculum in terms of doing like practicum, and most colleges do something like that capacity. But I did that, and I just fell in love with it more and more and more. So that's kind of the short version of it, is that I just accidentally ended up in the wrong orientation and fell in love with it.
Hey man,
Crazy.
they do say school is good for some things, right? So sometimes you can kind of find what you're looking for in the wrong places at times. So I mean, that's a good epiphany that you kind of had, and obviously translated into where you're at now, and obviously you're still doing big things. So that obviously paved the way for you. Moving into like kind of where you're from, right? Like I believe it's around like 12,000 people in the population as far as where you're from, to translating over to Kentucky, where it's more like 300,000 people here. Like, how was that adjustment going from Washington State, um, obviously, and then moving to Lexington, where UK is at? It's more of a camaraderie. The school and the sports there is more on par with like pre-pro level. That's going to introduce you to pros, depending on what actual sport it is. But a lot of people go here for that specific reason, to obviously ultimately go pro. So, like, how has the city moving around more people, how has that kind of embraced you, or how have you kind of adapted to what that looks like from town to town?
Yeah. You know, so Portage, Washington, which is where I'm from, it's where I grew up. Yeah, it's a small community. It's 12,000 people. Um, there is one school district that kind of covers most of the surrounding area, and in that school district, there's one high school. So doing only 10, 11th, and 12th grade, there was still close to, I think, 3,500 kids in that high school. So really, really big high school. And I think in a weird way that like got me used to being in like a, not crowded city, but, a little bit more of a busy area.
Yeah.
And going from there to Pullman, where Washington State University is, Pullman is a college town. I think the population is 35,000 people, and 26 of those 35 are college students. So in the summer, it's really, really small. But coming out to Lexington, it wasn't necessarily about the size of the city. It was just, it felt comfortable. It felt like a good place. And obviously I came out here for work, and at the end of the day, that's what I was here for. But after 2, 3 weeks, it was very easy to settle down, be comfortable here, and not feel like I was in a foreign area, so to speak. And I think that's what the separator was, or maybe just made the difference, where I was like, you know what, this is where I want to be.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, is like Lexington is a very beautiful city, and for those of you who haven't been to Lexington, I highly recommend it. Whether it's football season, basketball season, horse racing season, whatever it is, like it's always beautiful year round, except when we get a bunch of that nasty ice, and it just looks terrible.
Oh
But
yeah.
we're me and Michael and TK, we all went to undergrad here at Lex. Siege has been in and out of Lexington. He's our guy. But being from Washington, and you talk about your internship, which we'll get into that a little bit later. But what were there like any other possibilities with other schools that were closer on the West Coast for you, or was it just like Kentucky was the only option, or it seemed like the best fit for you? Explain that thought process for that.
Yeah. So I mean, when you do this career and you get into the I want to be a collegiate strength conditioning coach route, it's very much like, okay, you've got to go and do an internship, maybe do a graduate assistantship, and then maybe get your first gig somewhere. And for Kentucky, it was just the first place I had applied to. It was on my radar. Um, I came up in after all the sports stuff, I came up in the cheer world of things. So I was a cheerleader in college. I was actually my college mascot as well. And for those of you who don't follow college cheer, Kentucky cheerleading is perennially like they're a powerhouse. They're the Alabama
they
football
top notch.
of they're legit.
We know that.
Yeah. So I knew of the school, and then what's ironic is that as I was going through and just getting more into coaching, I read one of Coach Cal's books that he wrote, and in it he talked a lot about the university, and so it just was on my radar. I applied for it, I got the interview, locked it down, and really kind of went from there. But it wasn't necessarily that there wasn't other options back on the West Coast. It wasn't anything about like leaving home. It's just, I got the opportunity at Kentucky and I dove straight in. And like I said, I couldn't put Lexington out on the map, if I'm being honest, at first, but I knew that it was an opportunity that was going to be so good for me to be so far away out of my comfort zone and just dive straight in. And if I drown, I drown. If I succeed, I succeed. But I wanted to do it to the utmost that I could and not just kind of like put myself in a situation where I could fall back or anything like that.
Yeah. Like I was gonna ask that, man. Like from Washington all the way to Kentucky, like were you homesick, man? Were you calling back home a lot of times or things of that nature? I understand how it goes. Like you were just fresh out of college, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I know you were like in between. I'm not too in your business, but probably in between with your mom and them, probably at their crib and stuff, like being next to them all those times, and then next thing you know, you going straight to Kentucky, middle of nowhere. All you see is the horses and stuff at first. You like, hold up, is this the right place? Boonies. And next thing you know, you see the city. So I mean, talk about that. Were you a little bit more homesick, man? Things of that nature. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I got used to being away from home as I was in college. My sophomore year into junior year, senior year is when I started doing cheer and mascotting. I was coaching at the time, which I had the opportunity to stay there over the summer and work with teams that were there in the summer, like Washington State's volleyball team or, track kids that were around. But more than anything, like I just kind of got used to not being home. So I didn't have anything against being home. It just, I got used to being off, being focused on work, so to speak. In college, it was interning and, I worked at a movie theater, but like I got used to it. And then so when it came time to do that move, it was super far. And to this day, I never really got a chance to go back and like be with my friends. And I regret that a lot, but I did get the opportunity to go straight into my career path. And again, I say career a lot because I've just built that situation out from coming here from college, from Port Orchard. It's been about moving up in that world and focusing, because it's truly what I believe I need to do. It's what I want to do with my life. And so again, I've just pursued it to the absolute most that I can.
Talk about that, like, right? You like your pristine acumen of just making a decision, right? That's best for you. Like, talk about that process of what it felt like to make a decision, feel very confident in that, and now diving into exactly what you want to do, and you getting everything obviously that you're working for. Like a lot of people out here have trouble with doing that, right? They kind of lean on different opinions. They gotta have a counsel before they make the right decision that they feel is best for them. And by that time, something may have passed, and you kind of found what you were looking for, knew exactly where you wanted to go, and you didn't look back. And now you're still doing what you want to do and continue to evolve. So, like, talk about how important it is to make decisions that you feel proud of. That's going to lead you to the next level, essentially.
Yeah, I always tell people that like Kentucky at the time, and when I was doing the internship process, was always plan A. My plan A was I wanted to be a college strength conditioning coach. And so, I do think that I got lucky in a way in terms of how the opportunities just kind of came up and I was in the right place at the right time. Mm-hmm. But more than anything, when I was in the right place at the right time, it was about grabbing hold of that moment and seizing it. And so, regardless of what I decided to do, move out here, stay home, take the career, take this new job that I've got an opportunity for, it's been about taking hold of it and not necessarily just figuring it out on the fly, but you can't always just have a plan and follow it. You've got to have an end goal, how to start that, and then you just kind of have to figure it out. And that's life, honestly. It's not that you're always going to have a plan, but you're going to have opportunities to live that moment, essentially.
You're absolutely right about that. I think I brought it up because obviously, we made a decision to create this podcast. Obviously, it's bigger than us. That's what we aspire it to be. Is obviously want to bring people on to have great stories such as yourself, and really just connect with people on a real ground level, and to be able to filter and create these relationships that outlast the show, so we can always check up on the people that's been a part of this and continue to grow with not only us but with you and whoever else is on the show, and kind of build a community around that. So it's like really being in a very focused state to be able to be like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is the outcome. Like you say, I don't really know if the plan is going to work from A to Z, but there is a general idea. There are a standard of processes that we want to follow. And every day we're just going to wake up, try to get better. And that's all we've kind of been doing. And we obviously getting clearer and clearer on the concept, and it's been working really well for us. And it's just about continue to stay focused on that. And I think we are putting together a great system, having better questions, having better counsel with each other, getting better people on that obviously want to share the story. So it's just, I wanted to just bring that up because having a great mind allows you to follow your intuition, and then surround yourself around people that can kind of cultivate that dream and vision is so important for anything that you choose to decide to do in your career and in your future and in your life. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's just important to say I moved from this part of the country to this part of the country because I had a dream. I have something I want to do. I have something I want to accomplish, and I'm not going to let anything stop me from getting there. And you obviously are doing a great job in that, and I want to applaud you for that because it's very important. I think a lot of people think it's scary, and I'm sure it is, right? Like, but what's the price of chasing your dreams, right? I think that's a real scary thing, but obviously there's another side of it where you can kind of water that grass and let it grow however you want it to. So I just wanted to really just bring that up, man, because it's so inspiring for you to be like, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm getting it done, and now see me, right? So, no, I think salute, man, salute.
Yeah, and I think one thing to note is that it's not that it didn't come with sacrifices in terms of making those decisions. To this day, I grew up with my group of guys that I from 6th, 7th grade, and half of them were in my wedding this last June. But since high school, when we graduated high school in 2015, like I've only ever moved further away from my best friends, and that's been tough. Like it's not a easy scenario, but again, it's been part of that situation where they understand that I'm chasing what I'm trying to accomplish, what I'm trying to do with my life. And yes, that means I have had to move farther, but I've also laid out to them that like it's going to get to a point where the location doesn't really matter, and I can come home, I can go back to the West Coast, I can get a job in California, Oregon, Washington, something of that capacity. Because when you get to a certain level, I think in anybody's career, like yes, you have your job, but what you're doing is what you're accomplishing, is what you're trying to get to. And so whether it is being a coach at high school, college, professional level, like when you get to a certain point of being in that field long enough, it's about, all right, I'm just coaching people. Like it doesn't matter where it is. And I think that's important to kind of take note of, is that you got to get to that point, and it's hard, but you can accomplish those things. You can get to that level, and then you can go back and really kind of reorganize. And once you've got your dream, right, you can really kind of replant yourself, essentially. So yeah, it doesn't come without sacrifices.
Agreed. I mean, I like exactly what you said, Strobis. I mean, me and you have known each other for a while. Just working in college athletics or professional, doesn't even have to be athletics, and now even get to the point of high school athletics, it's starting to come with some sacrifices, right? Because you got to figure out time management. You got to deal with long hours, long days, stressful work hours, stressful coaching situations, stressful job interactions with coworkers, everything like that. But there's also a lot of rewards to it, right? Like, I mean, you've worked with a lot of teams at UK, working with track and field, men's and women's tennis, cheer, and you worked with a lot of Olympic athletes like Messiah Russell. Did you work with D-Rob at all? You worked with D-Rob, right? A little bit?
I've worked with D-Rob when he's come back around, like to
Yeah.
visit and train just a little bit, but I didn't get a chance to work with him when he was in college.
Yeah. Well, you worked with most of those track athletes over there. I mean, we got Gab Diallo, a big guy that I want to get on the podcast. You worked with all the new guys up and coming at men's and women's tennis and track and field. Talk about like the rewarding aspect of just seeing these athletes grow from either from year to year or freshman to senior year, whatever it is. Like, explain that growth process that makes you feel like, man, I really made an impact on their life.
Yeah. Well, it's really kind of, it's personally rooted. And what I mean by that is, when I was in college and I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, going through that, like I struggled. I had a lot of struggles that came up when I was in college, and I wasn't even a college athlete to the extent that the ones that I work with now. And as I was growing as a coach in my career and also growing as an individual, I realized like I'm in a position to have a huge impact on people. And I do not take that lightly. I fully accept the responsibility and the assignment, I guess, with that. But being in that position, that just fired me up more to work in, the college level is where I've really kind of planted myself. I love doing it is because I get to be with these 18, 19, 20, sometimes we have 24-year-olds now, but that's just the way that it is. But it's a huge part of their life. And so regardless of if they are track, if they go pro, if they just finish out their 5 years of eligibility and continue with their career or go do something else, like I'm in an extremely important part of their lives, and I'm not the most important part of their lives, but college sometimes is. And I don't take that lightly. I know the responsibility, and it's exciting because you get to watch them grow as athletes, but as individuals as well. You get to see the maturation. You get to see them grow in terms of, do they switch majors? Do they decide they want to do something else entirely? Do they go from, I want to win gold medal in the Olympics to I want to retire at 50? Like those are two completely polar opposite things, but those are what happens in college. And that growth on an individual level is something that each person has their own path, their own process. And I get to kind of help shape that as a coach and as somebody that's a part of their athletic time here. But it's really, really rewarding to see where they get to, because no matter what, when I work with my athletes, they're going to develop, they're going to grow. I mean, that's just, they're going to live their life here unless they go somewhere else. But it's rewarding to be a part of this life. And even though it's 4 or 5 short years, it's something that they are going to remember for the rest of their life. And it's more so they're going to remember their time here. They could forget me for all they care, but their time with Kentucky track and field, Kentucky men's tennis, or Kentucky women's tennis, or cheer, I was a small part of that. And I really enjoy and I feel fulfilled knowing that, like, hey, this part of their life made a difference.
Yeah, and getting the rings and trophies kind of help out too.
Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, winning ain't ever a problem.
Oh yeah, never.
Facts.
But yeah, man, like we talk about a lot of rewards, a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifices for working with athletics. Like I said, whether it's collegiate, pro, and even high school now. You kind of got into what I think is a cool position of you being a intern, then moving into a GA position. For those who don't know what GA means, it's graduate assistant. And during your GA position, were you obtaining your master's?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you got your master's in sports psychology, and mental health.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Explain, like, I mean, I think mental health and sports psychology is a huge thing. I think it's super important, especially with all the new stuff coming out with athletes, and just want to be able to actually help people with their mental health, whether they're an athlete or not. Explain what made you want to go into sports psychology and mental health as your master's degree.
Yeah. I kind of alluded to it when I was talking about answering the last question, but I struggled a lot in college. My mental health was in a bad place. Being away from my friends, like I talked about earlier, being away from family, and really just kind of knowing that I was making sacrifices, or knowing that I was kind of really changing my life and creating a path, but I didn't handle it too well in the moment. And I think back to those times and I'm like, I reflect on those times and know what I was going through at the time. And while that was individual to me and it was unique in my the place that I was, what I was going through, I still know that everybody else has the same path, the same thing as well, big things, small things. And so when it came to the sports psychology piece, it was kind of a twofold thing. It was, sport psychology, I usually break down into two things. Number one is the sport therapy, the kind of sports psychology piece part of it, where you're helping athletes who maybe have some sort of anxiety, some sort of worry, some sort of thing coming up, mental block. You're helping them get back to neutral. The other half of it is a performance psychology piece, where I lean into a little bit more in the strength conditioning world, and just in my position at UK is helping them go from that neutral state to that exceptional state or that elite state, that +1, if that makes sense. And so sports psychology kind of helped me bridge the gap of being able to do all of that while still being a strength and conditioning coach. So in a lot of cases, I tell people that I work in performance because I do the weights, I do conditioning, I do mental performance, I do sports psychology. And doing my master's in that was an opportunity that was awarded to me because UK has an awesome sports psychology program. There's not a lot of programs that, at least in a master's level, you get to work with the counseling psychology department at the academic level, go through the sports psychology program and get your master's there. And then in tandem, work with UK or the surrounding universities and their athletes. And I get to work with real collegiate athletes and be their sports psychologist while still getting my degree. And all of that in turn, at the end of the day, just helped me be a better coach, a better person for these kids to work with. But it's also like, I can switch hats where I need to. I can talk to them about this, or I can help them get stronger in the weight room. At the end of the day, I just want to help these kids perform at their best, but also make the most of the opportunity that they have in front of them when it comes to their sport they're playing or what they have, professional or academic or anything like that.
No, that's big. I mean, that's huge to really have a level of detail that continues to obviously cultivate a culture that you all have created out there. Um, it's super important to have like structure, obviously, in your day, in your schedule, that leads to success, right? So, like, break down what a day in a life of like your job profession is right now from start to finish, and how do you feel towards the end of the day, like once you're about to go home, like what's the work-life balance like? Are you getting enough energy outside of work where you feel obviously reset and recharged when you get back to work, or how have you been balancing your schedule, and what does the day in life look like to you?
Yeah, so my position I have here at UK, I have at least on staff and athletes that I cover, I have 170 student athletes that I work with across my 4 teams that I oversee. That's the most on our staff in terms of the other, just, I'm not comparing, but just saying, I work with 100 people on track, 20 to 25 tennis athletes potentially, and then 50 to 60 cheerleaders. Like, it's just the numbers game at that point. So my day-to-day is pretty jam-packed usually, and that's just the nature of having the teams I work with.
Right.
But, usually our teams are working out at 6:30 or 7 a.m. So I'm getting to the facility at 5:30, maybe 5:15. So getting up pretty early, 4:15, 4:30 at the very latest. Yeah. Getting to the office and really starting my day. I like to get there earlier because I have a lot to kind of organize, whether it's day to day or just week to week. And then we're ripping and rolling. We got lifts going on. Usually I have a group at 6:30 or 7, 8 o'clock, 9:15. Women's tennis comes in at 10:30 right now. And then usually we've got meetings kind of throughout the middle of the day sporadically. So usually a 1 or 2 hour meeting from 11:30 to 1 or something of that capacity. And then from 2 o'clock onward is when afternoon groups come in, and that changes throughout the day. But usually that's Spear comes in at 2 o'clock on the days that they're in. The men's tennis team comes in at 3:30, and then usually at about 4:30, 4:45 is when my PM groups for track comes in. So that's men's sprinters, throwers, and then I'm usually there till 6, maybe 6:30 at the very latest. So that's a long day. That's a jam-packed day. It's not every day is like that, but I'd say on average 3 or 4 of my days out of my 5-day week are like that. And it's exhausting, I'm going to be honest, but I do enjoy it. I love that I get to spend, of my 14-hour day, I get to spend 8 of it just coaching Like I'm not sitting in meetings. I'm not at my desk. I'm out on the floor working with athletes, hooping and hollering, helping people move weights and do the fun stuff. And so at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm tired. It's a very taxing work. You're not only having athletes yelling and coaching and doing all that, but you're also doing the physical aspect of demonstrating or working out yourself or whatever it is that you need to be doing. Then you add the mental aspect of doing the administrative part, which it's a lot, but it can be efficient, so to speak. And all on top of that, that's only if there's lifts. If there's, Langston knows this from his time with tennis. If there's a tennis match, you might be there till 8:30, 9 o'clock, maybe even later. Forever.
Yeah,
Indoor.
that is crazy.
Yeah, especially indoor season at UK.
I'm like, but you still there, bro? He's like, yeah, I'm still here. I'm like, that don't make no sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So it is a lot. It's a lot and that's why, at the end of the day, people don't stay in this field long if it's not what they absolutely want to do. But one of the things I brag about is that I met my wife at UK. She's an athletic trainer for a couple of the teams there. And so
she's all right.
Work-life balance. She's okay.
Hey, y'all crazy. That's crazy that you did that. That's crazy. Yeah. Shout out.
Yep. So I get a lot of work-life balance while being at work. If there's a day where we don't have meetings, we can sit down and have lunch together, literally, like go over to my office in my facility, or we can work out together, or heck, we can both go home, or one of us can. And it's just, it's a rare thing that I don't take for granted. And now that I'm moving into my new position at a different school, it's going to change a lot, but it is something that I recognize keeps me very sane. And so outside of that, my hobbies it's almost a polar opposite. Strength and conditioning and coaching is a very like extroverted thing. And so what my wife loves to tell people is when I'm at work, I'm Strobis. And then when I get home, I'm Steven. And so all that really means is that, when I get home, I'm just like, I want to sit, I want to watch our shows, be quiet, not be yelling, play whatever games I've got going on or whatever, and just kind of like come down off of that. And it is a lot of like up and down, riding the wave throughout week to week, but it's for the time being, it's been really balanced. And I've felt very lucky being able to do what I do for as much as I do it and enjoy it all the time.
No, that's really, really inspiring. Like to be able to make those type of adjustments day in, day out, and obviously being so focused on that. I was gonna ask, like, what keeps you going on the days where you feel drained, but obviously you alluded to that, just having the passion just for coaching and then showing up allows you just to be inspired with everything you're doing, and obviously having this impact on these kids that are looking to you, right, for guidance, for help, as well as your other staff members. So it's just super inspiring just to be able to stay focused on that and then obviously continue to grow into that role and into the future version of yourself that you continue to build day to day. So that's super impactful, man. And on days you feel drained, you just keep going. And that's all life is, man. It's just step by step, brick by brick, and staying focused on the outcome of improvement, not only yourself, but others around you. And you've been doing a great job of that. Obviously, Langston has told us a lot of stuff about you, man. And
good stuff.
Always good stuff. So it's super.
Gotta clarify.
Gotta clarify. But yes, it's just super imperative that we bring that up, man, because obviously a lot of people are going day to day and they're feeling drained about things, and maybe they're not as passionate about the things that you get to do or we get to do every day. So like some of that stuff kind of doesn't carry over the way that it does for us. So I guess having that ability to pick something that is challenging, but you are inspired by, can actually pull you through some of those more trying days. Instead of just working something, obviously circumstances, you gotta do what you gotta do, but working yourself to a position to where you feel inspired and grateful to be able to still be impactful every day. So I want to kind of ask, like, in your career field, like what has been you kind of briefly talked about just obviously getting some awards, and being able to coach, but like what are other significant like achievements that you feel like you've kind of garnered in your life in that career field thus far, to this moment, if there anything that pops out in your mind?
Yeah, I think, and this is kind of it's when you're a strength conditioning coach, when the teams do well, it is part of it is your impact on the team in terms of their fitness, strength, or whatever it is. But that's a part of it. But being part of the environment, just being part of the culture of that team, I think is so much more important. And so, one of my crowning achievements, one of the things that I just really look back on and feel proud about is when I was a GA, and it was 2021. I had just moved into being in charge of teams. I was in charge of men and women's tennis and cheer. And it's not that those teams are easy, but they're not very demanding. Tennis works out 2-3 times a week, cheer works out twice a week, and then that's really it. They come to the weight room, I see them. But at the time, our head strength coach for track and field left. He left coaching, and I was kind of his assistant, if that makes sense. And I just helped with the lift so that we had more coaches on the floor. And he left, and I just got thrown in. I got thrown into the fire of UK track and field, which I will be honest, I don't think I was necessarily ready for, but it was a extreme trial by fire of being able to adapt, being able to learn on the fly, have conversations. And at the end of the day, like, that was really, really tough. And it was like the moment of my career. I was like, oh, I am a strength coach now. Like, I am doing what I want to do at the high level of like running teams.
Yep.
And that season that I took over the team, and especially when you take over a team right as the season starts, a lot can go wrong. We had our best year in school history. We took third in indoor, third nationally, ranking wise, team wise, at the national championships indoor, and then third overall nationally at the outdoor championships for track and field for our women's program. And that, I look back on that, and it was like so many things could have gone so wrong. Just taking over a team, not having the background of knowing what the plan was or anything like that, but it all worked. And then that same year is when our men's tennis program really kind of hit the ground running, and we went to the NCAA finals and played for the championship. We were in the finals. We were the 8th seed going into the tournament, and we made it all the way to the finals. And those two things kind of happening back to back in my first year running teams was where I was like, okay, like, I felt really relieved because I was like, okay, what I do with my teams works. But it was also a situation of like, this is good. Like, I enjoy this. And even if we weren't winning, it's like, I'm running these teams now. I'm doing the job that I set forth to finally do and do that. So that was a huge moment in my career where it was obviously like, it was a moment of like, we won a lot, we were successful, but it was me feeling successful, like internally, so to speak. So, yeah, that's my big one. There's been other moments, men's tennis has won the SEC 3 times in the last 2 years.
Shout out.
Regular season. Yeah, big shout out for Cedric and the boys. But the men's tennis team has been super successful over my time working with them. Our track and field program has done really, really well. And, I've gotten the chance to stick with athletes as they've continued on. And I think that's a huge, I guess, success of mine, is that even when they graduate, they leave, they sign a pro contract, they still want to work with me. That only tells me, like, yes, I'm a good strength conditioning coach, but I have a relationship with this person. And I think that's more than anything important. I always say, like, anybody can write sets and reps and pick exercises, but like how you coach them, how you relate to them, how you get them thinking about their sport and their life while you're doing those things, that makes the big difference. That's going to separate a good coach from a great coach to the elite.
I agree. It's the same thing on like the athletic
Thanks.
field. It's like, if you don't build that relationship early on, they're not going to trust you. And same thing, like probably with strength and conditioning, like if you don't build that relationship outside the weight room and like outside the squat racks, the bench racks, whatever you want to call it, and they don't trust you and you don't build that relationship, it's very hard to earn that trust back, especially with college athletes now and athletes growing up. They're just like, my way is the right way. And you're like, all right, whatever. You're like, you'll find out.
Yeah.
But building that relationship and just having people move on. I mean, like what you said is like being able to talk to these kids, whether they go professionally or they enter the real world and they come back and they're like, Strobis, how you doing? LeBrankston, how you doing? Like, love to hear all the stuff that's going on in your life. I think that's the most rewarding thing, is just being able to meet all these cool people, whether they go pro or not, and just maintaining a relationship with them and knowing that you made somewhat of an impact on their life.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, everything that I do with them, again, it's a workout. It's a very small part of their 4 to 5 years that they're in college, but it's still a piece of that puzzle that they kind of built their life into. And some people again, whatever direction they go, I still got the chance to interact with them, have a relationship with them, and be part of that. And even if I never talk to them again when they leave, I still get to feel good about the fact that we had that time together and they got to develop with me, alongside me, or just while I was working with them. And again, I got to be part of that important process, regardless of how big of an impact it was.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. I got two questions.
Oh,
For
God.
one, are you a yeller? Do you yell?
A yeller?
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. Yeah. When I'm coaching my lifts and everything like that, I definitely get loud. And, track and field, I've coached by myself for the last couple of years. So I have 35 athletes all in the weight room at the same time. Music's cranked up. So yeah, we're getting after it. I'm having to yell, project, but
you should see this man Strobis at 6 a.m. workouts. This man's screaming super loud. I'm like, Strobis,
that's
bro.
what I'm wondering. Like,
I just woke up at 5:15. I just got here at 5:45.
You got to be able to breathe for that.
Yeah, but nah.
To be yelling at 6 o'clock.
He's not like a football coach yeller, like screaming in your face, but he's very like let's go, like come on guys, we gotta do this, like push that weight. Strobis is my guy.
Real.
Always.
What's your other question?
Always.
So my second one, you said you was a mascot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta know, is the saying real? Do you smile through the mask? So are you smiling when you're through I gotta know, bro. I gotta know. Are you laughing the whole time when you doing like, I know like the cat dude be doing like push-ups every time he score a touchdown, like
scratch.
I know.
The name right.
Okay.
Don't disrespect.
Hey,
That's a good question.
Removed,
That's a good question.
I'm removed, dog. So okay, yeah, scratch. Because I know he be hot as hell in that suit doing them push-ups. So do you do you smile through the mouth? I gotta know. I want to know.
Yeah. I was lucky enough that the mascot at Wazoo was the character that he was a rambunctious, absolute just menace of a cartoon character. And so we got to just have fun. We got to annoy people. We got to play with kids. We got to fall over. Like we got to have fun as a mascot. It wasn't just wave and hype people up. And so, I would smile all the time because it was just like, I just got to go and have fun and not be embarrassed because nobody knew who I was for 2 hours at a football game or whatever it is. Like it was always a blast. Yeah. I never had days where I like regretted getting in the suit and doing it. I mean, maybe a baseball game that was 105 degrees and it's a 3-day weekend series, but even then it was still fun to play with kids or take pictures or anything like that. It's great.
Were you there when Mike Leach was there?
That's my dog. I got his autograph and pictures with him. And
R.I.P.
That's my dog.
Yeah, that's a good coach. Great
guy. My year that I was doing football and the other events was the year Gardner Minshew was there too. So our best year in school history.
You already asked
that's
my
dog.
question. I was about to say because he had a little stint with my team, the Colts. Man, we probably could use him a little bit better. So I like Minshew. I don't got no problem with Minshew.
He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's wild though. He be his photos be out this. We got to chill out with that. But he cool. He cool though. He cool though.
He never graduated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what? I ain't gonna say no ill will because he almost got me to the playoffs. So I like Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, he's Uncle Rico
for sure.
Yeah,
Uncle Rico.
But
love it.
But Strobis, looking back in your life, if you had to take a time machine back 10, 15 years ago and go see little Strobis, little meathead Strobis, what kind of advice would you give him in terms of moving forward in the strength and conditioning field that you can give to your younger self and for those who are listening who want to be a strength and conditioning coach?
I was just twofold, when like people like freshmen in college ask this, they're like, what's your advice? My advice is always start early. Like not necessarily pick your career and have your life set out and know all that early, but like if you want to do something and it's going to take some time, like start early, get experience in it, start getting comfortable around it. Something like coaching, it takes time to develop. And so you got to get used to doing that. But me personally, if I could go back and talk to 15, 16-year-old me, or even, 12-year-old me, like I would just say, keep going, because there's so many days where like I have felt like I'm like, why am I moving across the country? Or why am I reading books and textbooks and doing research on things that it's at the end of the day, if we do squats, we're going to get stronger legs. Like, why am I doing all this? And, you know, I've had those days, I've had those moments in life, in periods of time, honestly, and not giving up and really just continuing to keep going in those moments and getting out of it, even if it's 1% of what I can squeeze out of it. It's gotten me to where I am now. And, you know, I'm still building the life, even though I'm moving into a new role and I've got this great spot and life is good with the marriage and everything. But it's the keep going attitude. And so whatever it is that I'm trying to go is keep going on it and enjoy the ride. Don't just be at the end goal, right? And be flexible to understand that you're going to have to make adjustments, make turns, ride the waves up and down. If you do want to continue to go in that, and that's that drive. Like, it's not about, oh, I'm not going to give up. It's I'm going to continue to try. I'm going to make adjustments. I'm going to figure this out. It's not just, oh, I'm just not going to be hard-headed. It's like, I'm going to be smart and I'm going to keep doing this and I'm going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. Moving with purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, just going into that word that we talked about earlier, adaptability, like, if I wanted to be a strength coach, I had to be adaptable because I had to figure out how to get that done.
That's
That's
perfect
huge.
word for your situation, especially with you moving and stuff like that. That because I ain't gonna lie, I've always wanted to go to Washington. So are you a Seahawks fan?
Yeah, I really like college sports more. I mean, I work in college,
Okay.
but I go back and forth. I like the Seahawks. I'll cheer for the Bengals since they're the team around here. But yeah, I'll watch Seahawks. Geno Smith, that's my dude.
Yeah, well, then you're not really because I was about to say, why didn't you run the ball when you were at the 1 yard line? But because that you kind of, I like Tom Brady now. I got more respect for him because we did with the Buccaneers. But I'm a Colts fan, and just getting him more rings just not help for me. And I feel like you guys should just give it to Marshawn Lynch, and it would have been over with. But you're not really like a Seahawks fan like that, so I'm not gonna go more into it. Just very frustrated about that.
Yeah, I mean, I look back on that moment and I'm still like, what are we doing?
Ridiculous.
But yeah, at the end of the day, that's the call they made, and
exactly.
got to live with it.
Can't be mad at it, bro. And just, I don't know. I look back at that because me and DRC was in high school at that time frame, and I was cheering. I was like, man, Tom Brady about to be done. Because then, Jermaine Kearse got that catch. I'm like, okay. And then he threw that pick. I said, dog, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
You'd be surprised how many segments of like sports psychology books cover how Russell Wilson dealt with that.
That has to be, that was the turn of his career. He basically was about to be Patrick Mahomes, but then that kind of changed everything after that happened.
Yes,
because I like Russell.
He's still going.
Russell. Yeah, but he's
still
not the
going.
Same
he's done well, but he ain't the same. But even then, like, if it was me, I'm hanging it up. I'm out. I'm not doing that. I'm getting out of the league.
That was a tough scene. That was very, especially when you have Marshawn Lynch. It's the person you have behind you that made it more than it had to be. I'm like, dog, you had beast mode. Like I would have. I don't know. It's crazy how like sports psychology goes into that depth because I already know like me as a quarterback from Russell Wilson. I'm like, dog, I'm not listening to Pete Carroll. I love you to death, but I'm handing that damn ball off. There's no question. I'm handing it about 4 times in a row.
Well, you know what it was, right? You know why he did that, right?
I know.
Yeah, because all the sharks for the Katy Pool, or not the Katy Pool, the Katy Perry halftime show.
Okay, well, that was not what I was thinking you were about to say. I thought it was a whole other thing.
Yeah, no,
I'm glad you said the other thing because you made it light of the little one. I'm gonna let it's the Sharks.
Yeah, it's the Sharks.
Go with that. Yeah, the Sharks.
Yeah. Shout out Katy Perry.
Yes.
But no, I guess since we're already kind of into the word of the week, Mike, you want to just go ahead and wrap it up with that?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, I guess we want to dive in because he already kind of pretty much told us what his version of adaptability was. Obviously, his whole life journey has been that in his career field. So, I mean, really for us, I mean, adaptability is a great word. I'm glad we used this word for today. Man, I mean, you have to be adaptable, right? I think to improve on wherever you want to go in life, you never know what happens. Tomorrow isn't promised, and if you get another 24 hours, right, you just do the best you can that day to continue to strive for, your dreams. And things may change. You may have a plan for something, and then something else happens to where it's unavoidable, and you have to make a pivot. So the fact that you have to be adaptable allows you to be in better positions in the future, obviously, when things change drastically, and having better decision making than people that's not adaptable, right? I think if we talk about things like AI and everything that's changing and all this future technology and things that's just obviously coming up in schools and workforces and our cell phones, like obviously you got to learn more, you got to do more to be conscious of your behavior. And there's going to be a lot of people that's obviously in the older generation that's not being adaptable. There's going to be, obviously, you got to figure out what that looks like for you, or you're going to be left behind, stuck wherever you are for the next 10 years, 20 years, and just being a shell of yourself if you allow that to happen, right? So I think just being adaptable allows you to be kind of quote unquote be like curious. I think that obviously allows you to kind of find ways to just do better, be better, and just continue to strive. So I think adaptability is very important. It's important to be focused and yet have the adjustments necessary to continue to strive for greatness. So again, I really appreciate that word. I know C's is supposed to wrap this up, but I mean, we really kind of hit everything else. So I mean, Strobis, man, we appreciate your time, brother. We are so grateful to have you. I know you got a lot of things going, and we want to continue to support you, continue to follow your process, man. So can you tell us like where's your social media handles so we can continue to follow your journey?
Yeah. Yeah. I pretty much live on Instagram. It's just at SC_Strobis. That just stands for strength coach _ Strobis. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, at SC_Strobis is pretty much where I live. I run the social media accounts for UK, for our strength department as well. So if you ever see anything that they put out, that's me as well. But yeah, Instagram is where I'm at.
I want to kind of ask you that, like, how is that process of you posting and kind of running that channel? Like, how is it really tedious, or do you find enjoyment doing that? Like, how has been your process of just posting and just obviously continuing to create the community around those teams?
Yeah. Yeah. It's graphic design, social media, all that. It's always just been a hobby of mine, more so the graphic design, making pictures, videos, things like that. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a YouTuber. So, and just kind of took
That's
that, and
life.
obviously it's not quite the same, but when I got to UK and I had these skills, I'd been doing graphic design for like 10 years. At that point, they were like, hey, like you can make stuff for us and you can run this account. And I was like, absolutely, sure. So it's a hobby of mine that I've just turned into, let's say about 10% of what I do on the day-to-day of my career. So
I mean, that's amazing. It's really solid. TKD2, brother, where can we find your socials?
Well, for one, I gotta ask you one more question really quick.
What do you think?
So when you I gotta go back to the mascot things. That's fascinating, bro. I never actually met
it's
somebody
good,
in the
yeah.
mascot.
It's the best.
I'm sorry. Okay. Now, you know how the Bulls mascot from you going around and like knocking popcorn and stuff like that, is that staged? Is that a lot of stuff? Or is that like actually he be doing that?
He is actually doing that. The only time where like things aren't staged is if there's like some sort of like physical, like a fight or a stunt
Okay.
or something like that. But
Okay,
yeah, if you see a
okay.
mascot just straight clowning with somebody,
Yeah.
it's not staged.
Yeah.
That's them. It's either gonna hit or it's
Wow.
gonna
That's
miss
what
hard.
the faces be. I'm like,
That is crazy.
if they stage, they actually really good looking mad right now because when that popcorn fell, y'all know what I'm talking about when he
Like
dumped
the
that popcorn on her, he fell.
yeah,
Penny the
That's
or the
what
Butcher.
I'm
one with
That's what I'm
with
talking
the
about.
kissing can ones, the ones they be on the
Yeah.
kissing can. I be seeing
Yeah.
those. Yeah, I be seeing those.
Yeah.
But back to my handles. Your boy is TKD2 Gaming. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hey, you play college football? The video game?
Yeah, off and on. Yeah.
What do you got? Xbox or PS5?
I have both, but I have it on Xbox.
Hey man, we got a dynasty. I know Langston's been talking about it, man. Come on. But anyway, subscribe to the YouTube channel at TKD2 Gaming. Also, follow me on Twitter, never the X, at TKD2 Gaming. TikTok, TKD2 Gaming. Hey bro, stop doing that. I got you week 3, bro. Don't worry. I'm Road to Redemption, bro. Last year wasn't good. We back on it though. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at TKD2 Gaming. It's your boy TKD2 Gaming.
Brent, where can everybody follow you at, brother?
Anyways, that guy likes to talk a lot, but
Hey, man.
you can go
My
ahead.
guy, bro. He's my guy, man.
Yeah.
Gotta let him know.
All right. You had enough.
All right. Sorry, bro.
You can go follow me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything at LeBrankston. Got a special Instagram at LeBrankston Gaming. Y'all go check it out. Again, like I always say each and every week, we got a voicemail number for the podcast. So if you want to leave a message about your favorite word of the week, favorite episode, favorite co-host, whatever it is, make sure you guys call the number 859-363-5365. Again, that number is 859-363-5365. Back to you, dear Michael.
Thanks, man. You can follow our show at Dear Radio Show on all social platforms. We continuing. I know I kind of always talk about our website. It should be done next couple of weeks, man. We got some exciting things going on. A lot of good content coming out soon. So we're super excited about just the continuation of what we're doing, man. It's been a super great time for us all. We love everything we're doing. So follow us for all new updates at Dear Radio Show. And man, we look forward to welcoming new members. Siege, man, go ahead and wrap us up, man.
It's your boy, man, Dear Siege. You can follow me on everything at Dear Siege, man, from IG to Twitter to TikTok to even YouTube. Not
Don't say
Facebook, because my mom
Don't
be
say
on there.
Snapchat.
No more Snapchat, man.
Yeah.
Snapchat over with. Yeah, I think that's about it, man. But I like to thank Strobis, man, for allowing us to do the interview, man. Appreciate you coming on. Being a strength and conditioning coach, man, I know it's kind of crazy, man. I see all the heat that you guys can probably take just from talking to a player too much or like anything, any little thing. You know how it goes with these coaches nowadays. But I do appreciate you coming on, man, and telling your story, man. Did you have any last words to say anything, man? Anybody you want to shout out, man? Free shout outs, man.
Free shout out. I'll just give a shout out to my wife because I would be insane if I didn't have her, honestly.
Out.
But
Hey,
I'll give a shout out to
wifey.
I'll give a huge shout out to Langston. You know, the biggest thing is he's made my job as fun as good as it is. So I don't think I'd be here still if it wasn't for him. Straight up, just being honest.
That's why I left. Now you gotta leave.
Yeah, we both out. See ya. But
hey,
no,
and it's gonna be crazy when this drops.
Yeah, I know the 30 for 30 is gonna go crazy.
Yeah, golly, because boy, he be telling me, and the way you just said peace out, the 30 for 30, I need that now. Golly.
But yeah, no, I just appreciate you guys bringing me on, and I really like the idea of the adaptable, and whether it's in life or career or whatever it is you're doing, being adaptable and having tools to figure it out is going to make a game changer. So,
last controversial question, man: McDonald's or Burger King?
Ooh, I like this.
Ooh,
That's crazy.
I think
I need the right answer.
I think McDonald's.
Chris,
they got better drinks.
Hey,
they got better drinks.
It's ridiculous. Wait a minute. Hold on, bro.
It's a straight sponsorship. This is a class.
They got
Shout out Mr.
Bulls, bro. They got 2 large cups of McDonald's sitting right there, bro. Sipping on that.
Shout out to McDonald's out.
That's insane, bro.
Yep. Them rewards, bro. Them rewards.
Hey, the rewards, dog. The rewards. I used the rewards, dog. I used them. I did. 30% off, dog.
Yeah.
Push that button, dog.
Hey, you my guy, bro. You my guy. He said the rewards. Hey.
Can't miss, man. Don't miss.
You really can.
Hey,
What's the code? Hey, 2451. Yeah, I mean, I need that free McChicken.
MN21. Come on, bring it on out. Yes, Chris. Yes, that's my name. Come on, put it on the table.
Hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's funny. Hey, it's your boys, Dear Season, man. It's Dear Radio, man. We out.